Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Yasmina Greco with O'Reilly Media, and I will be your host for today's webcast. Today, folks, we have a real treat for you all. We have Mr. David Pogue with us, and he's going to talk to you all about Windows 8. David is the weekly personal technology columnist for the New York Times, and he's an Emmy award-winning tech correspondent for CBS News. His funny tech videos appear weekly on CNBC, and with 3 million books in print, he is also one of the world's best-selling how-to authors. David has written and co-written 7 books in the For Dummies series, including Max, Magic, Opera, and Classical Music. In 1999, he launched his own series of amusing, practical, and user-friendly computer books called Missing Manuals, which now includes 100 titles. Folks, we're really excited to have David with us today to present this webcast for you all. As we get things started, I'd like to go over a little housekeeping to help you get the most out of today's webcast. You'll want to open your group chat widget if you haven't already done so. This is where we can interact with each other during the event and where you can submit your questions for David. We find that our audience usually has a lot of good knowledge to share, so we encourage you all to chat freely during the event. However, if you have questions for David, please preface them with a capital letter Q so we know that they're for him and we can make sure we see them for Q&A. You can also open, move, and resize any of the other widgets. If you would like to tweet from the Twitter widget today, you might need to give it permission to access your account. It will automatically append the event's hashtag to your tweet so you don't have to. And today, folks, our hashtag is Windows 8, all one word. If you have any trouble during the event, please take a look at your help widget. If you continue to have trouble, just post it in the group chat and one of our staff will help you right away. We're also recording today's webcast and should have the archive ready usually within 48 hours. And folks, at this time, it is my pleasure to turn the program over to David for his presentation. Hello, David.
Hello. Welcome, everybody. I am talking to you from Connecticut, but I understand you guys are all over the world, which is lucky because I am sick as a dog, and I will be coughing into the microphone to make you as uncomfortable as possible. But you'll be secure in the knowledge that I can't infect you over the phone. So anyway, I am fresh off of writing and publishing a book called Windows 8, The Missing Manual. And I don't mind admitting that to tackle this book, I started by looking at everybody else's Windows books to see what was good and what was bad and what was missing. And with all due modesty, most of them are really, really bad. The problem is not that the authors are untalented. The problem is that Windows 8 is schizoid. It is extremely confusing. It is 2 very good operating systems that have been smashed together by Microsoft. And Microsoft had its own reasons for doing that. We'll get into that. But I think one of the biggest challenges that you will face as you learn this operating system is coming to terms with the dual operating system. Now, I'm assuming that you can all see what I'm seeing on my laptop here. So you see, and you have 3 ways to log into Windows 8. You can type a traditional password, you can type a 4-digit PIN code, or you can use a picture password. We'll talk more about that in a second. That's where you draw lines or circles over a picture that you've memorized and set up for yourself. But I'm using a pin here. On a tablet, that makes sense. But on a desktop PC, you might just consider it another screen in the way. Fortunately, you can get rid of it. The first thing you need to do is open the Run dialog box. That's Windows key R. And that opens up this little Run dialog box here. And then you type gpedit. Don't worry, this is all in the book. Oh, by the way, look up here. I have a piece of toast. Toast is the notifications. They appear in the upper right corner of the screen, just like on the Mac. And this is Microsoft's way of bringing things to your attention without distracting you. And they have some clever ways to prevent notifications from getting in your way. If you click this notifications button on the Charms bar, you'll see it's very easy to hide them for 1 hour, 3 hours, or 8 hours. 1 hour if you're going to be in a meeting or giving a presentation. 8 hours if you don't want them to bother you all day. Anyway, so getting back to the lock screen. So gpedit.msc and hit OK to open this little hidden program called the Local Group Policy Editor. I know this looks geeky, but you only have to do it once. So you're going to click as follows: Administrative Templates, Control Panel, and Personalization. Under Personalization, there you have it. Do not display the lock screen. Double-click that, turn on Enabled, and from now on, you will not see the lock screen. You will go directly to the password screen. And there's even a way to get rid of that too. For example, if you're the only one who uses your machine and you live by yourself in an apartment and there's no real security risk of a bad guy coming in and looking up your calendar, why do you even need a password? So there's a way to get rid of that too. That's a little more involved, but it's in the book. Another question you might have is, what if I don't want this screen? Every day you turn on the computer, you will arrive at the start screen. But what if you spend most of your time at the desktop and you really don't want to spend much time here? Well, if you use my upper left corner trick, you know that you can just press the Enter key to jump back to the desktop. But it's worth noting that if you install one of those third-party things like Classic Shell or Start 8, they offer the option to go directly to the desktop without ever seeing the start screen on the way. So that's another great tip for you. So one of the most interesting developments in the desktop version of Windows 8 is the ribbon. The ribbon, which made its debut in the Office programs, is now available in your desktop in the Explorer windows. It's now called File Explorer and not Windows Explorer. And the idea is Microsoft is constantly getting feature requests from its users. They'll say things like, hey, can you please have a way to, to create a new folder? And Microsoft will say, that's already in there. You just need to right-click. But beginners don't know about right-clicking, so they never find these buttons. So what Microsoft did is it took every single possible command at the desktop and made them visible and discoverable in this ribbon here on different tabs. So everything you'll ever want to do to an icon is here. So if I click this icon, I can turn on item checkboxes. I can hide or show the file name extensions. I can show hidden items, all without having to burrow into anything. You can hide or show the ribbon with this button here, or by pressing Control F1. But love it or hate it, the ribbon is here to stay. It's also worth noting that although the desktop has always made it possible to have multiple side-by-side windows, in the new Tile World interface, only one window is generally open at a time. So this is the maps, and if I want to have another window side-by-side, it's just tough rocks, right? No. There is actually a way to have two, and only two, Tile World apps open side-by-side. And the way you do that, if you have a touch screen, you swipe your finger slowly in from the left edge, and you will get this first. This is the Tile World app switcher. There are now two app switchers, by the way. There's the old Tile World, and then there's the Alt Tab, which is the same as Windows 7. So I'm pressing Alt Tab to see this one, and I'm dragging in from the left side to see this one. This is just Tile World apps. Again, it's that schizophrenic two-personality thing. We now have two app switchers. But in any case, if you drag slowly in, farther in, okay, I don't have a touch screen, so I can't really show you that. But anyway, you will get an index card version of the most recent app, and it follows your finger. And here, I'll do the mouse version. If you have a mouse, you point to the top of the screen. It turns into a hand. Drag down. Oops, don't do that. Drag down with the hand. You get this index card version like this. If you drag it against one edge of the screen, you'll see that divider bar appear. That means you've successfully split the screen. So here I have the desktop represented as one of my apps. Now I can duck back to the start screen and open another app let's say the People app, and presto, I have two screens open at once. I can grab this bar and adjust it. It's always in a 25% divide. You can't do it half and half. It has to be 25% and 75% on one side or the other. So it is indeed possible to have side-by-side. It is also possible very easily, if you have two monitors, to have Tile World on one monitor and the desktop on the other. So that's kind of useful if you have a couple of monitors. To get rid of this, you just drag that bar off the screen. And there are, by the way, Windows keyboard keystrokes to do this too. It's Windows key and the greater or less than will also split the screen for you. Windows key, greater, less than. Look at this. I'm constantly getting bombarded by viruses. By the way, this is really great. Windows now comes with antivirus software. You don't need to buy Norton or one of those things. People argue that Norton and Symantec are better and more sophisticated, whatever. But in my experience, Windows Defender, which is a built-in antivirus, anti-malware program, works just fine. And it's already you have to turn it on, though. Microsoft didn't want to offend its partners, so you do have to turn it on when you get Windows 8. But it's well worth doing. So how would you get there? Come on, you know, just start typing, right? I just type DEFEN, and then I hit Enter, and there I've opened Windows Defender. So get used to opening things just by typing. So by the way, I mentioned the duality of things. So here is what we're using right now. Here's the Webcast software. I'm in Internet Explorer for the desktop. It's the old Internet Explorer. Note that here's the address bar. Here are my history and my favorites. Here's my home button. Here's the tools. Okay. But what's weird is if you go to Tile World, you'll find another Internet Explorer here. This Internet Explorer puts the address bar at the bottom. There is no official favorites list, but you can make one by pinning favorite web pages here. And there are frequently there's no proper history list, but there are favorites. The closest you get to a history list is the frequently used list right here. So these two these two versions of Internet Explorer are related in that your favorites are shared between them, but they are distinct in operation. And as you can see, things are moved around. The Tile World version of Internet Explorer does not allow plugins, but the desktop version does. So if you want to use Flash apps and stuff like that, you can do that in the desktop version. It's very, very confusing. All I can figure is that Microsoft intends Windows 8 to be a transition between the old Windows desktop that will eventually go away and this new, much simpler, finger-friendly touchscreen interface. I can't think of any other reason why they would give us these two worlds. But one of my big functions in the book was to help you, as your psychologist, get through this duality, understand when to use what, and if you want to use only one or the other, how to minimize the backing and forthing. This, I noted before, is just like the old Start menu, only exploded out, so that everything's laid out in front of you. All through Windows 8, you'll find this feature called semantic zoom. I find that sort of annoying title. It doesn't mean anything, but it means zooming out of a program. You'll see that over and over again. For example, there's no address book anymore. Instead, we have this thing called the People app. It is an address book. It sucks in your contacts from Facebook and Twitter and whatever you've got in your Microsoft account, your email account. You can also enter people one at a time. You open the app bar. Remember, you do that by swiping up from the bottom or pressing Windows key Z, and you hit New Contact, and then this will allow me to create a new contact. This is what taps into the mail programs. This is also your Twitter and Facebook viewer. If I click here, I will see all the Facebook and Twitter inputs in an interesting layout here. Kind of neat. Notice it's tile world because notice there's no menus, and notice everything is a rectangle. So I go back like this. But I mention this because, okay, you can stop. Help. I mention this because in that context of the semantic zoom, how do I jump all the way to the Z's? Do I really have to scroll through all these people? No, I don't. I pinch 2 fingers, and then I get this. I get the alphabetical index so I can quickly jump to the Z's like that. There are ways, by the way, of hiding certain categories of these people. If you don't need to see every single Facebook friend you've got, swipe up from the bottom, and you can ask it, for example, to show you only people who are online right now. And if you open the charms bar under settings, one great thing about Windows 8 is the top half of the settings panel always lists the settings for the program you're in. That's where you'll find them. So the options up here change depending on the program you're in. These 6 at the bottom are always there. So here you can say accounts, and this is where we see all the online accounts that I have associated with my Microsoft account. So when I log in to any Windows machine using my Microsoft account, all of these people will be listed there all ready to go in my People app. And here I can add a new account as well. But if I click Options instead, Settings and then Options, I will see that I can turn off the contacts. If I don't want to wade through all the Facebook people, I can turn them off, and instantly my people list will get much more compact because I've turned off all the Facebook people. And I can go on to turn off all the Twitter people, and that will probably get really small any day now. There we go. So now I'm looking at people who are not on Twitter or Facebook. This is also, by the way, where you can create Twitter and Facebook things. You go to What's New, and here you can add a new make a new comment or type a Twitter comment to this person. The apps that you're seeing here, the Tile World apps, these are all new, and there's some pretty good ones. Here's Maps. This is just like on a tablet or a phone. Here's the SkyDrive app I mentioned. So this is access to all the stuff you've got on your SkyDrive. Messaging is a sort of an iChat or Skype program. This lets you type messages back and forth to other people who have a Microsoft account. But some of the most this one's kind of cool. This is the Photos app. It doesn't let you edit anything. It's just a viewer, but it's a viewer for all the photos in your whole life. These are the pictures on this computer. These are the pictures on my SkyDrive. These are all the pictures I've ever posted to Facebook, and this one to Flickr. And these are all the ones from another computer in the house. So you can actually link the photo collections from different computers and see them all in one place. So once you're here, you can pick one of these categories, one of these albums, and enjoy a handy slideshow. I have no idea if you're seeing anything like the quality that I've got here, but anyway, so it's strictly a viewer. You can't edit any of these yourself. But for that, you've got the desktop program Photo Gallery, just like you used to have in Windows 7. Some of the most interesting new apps, though, are these magazines. They're called Bing News, Bing Weather, Bing Finance, Bing Sports, Bing Travel. And they're really cool. They're a cross between an app and a magazine. So let's try the news one, okay? So this is going to self-assemble a magazine limited just to the topics that you like. So it starts out showing you, see I've got categories here for business and politics and world and technology. So how did I customize this to show me just the things I'm interested in? Well, the app bar. Remember, swipe up in the bottom of the screen, and you see these icons. First of all, this lets you specify which news source you want. These articles are all drawn from other publications, so it's just formatting them for you. But I can say My News, and here's where I can specify oh, look, there's an article about me. What an idiot. So I can add a section and call it whatever I want. Hockey fights, sure, why not? And now I've instantly got a whole section dedicated to hockey fights. So anything you're interested in, you can have a section of the newspaper called from all over the web. So how about Steve Ballmer? I want daily news. Oh, how about Steve Ballmer's house? I want to see all articles about his house. And look at that. So from now on, well, it doesn't really look that correct, but so the point is you can build your own newspaper. This sources thing lists all the news sources that Bing News can draw from. Look at that. I mean, that is amazing. You can pick and choose which publications and which topics of which publications you want, and they will all show up in this beautiful, organized magazine exactly according to your interests. It's fantastic. The other apps are very similar to that. Here is the travel app. It's Bing Travel. It's kind of like another magazine. Same idea. Here's one of the really cool ones. Is a whole section of panoramas from around the world, news, deals, and again, if you swipe up to get the bar up here, you can specify what locations you're interested in reading about. Here is Microsoft's flight booking system. It's built right into the travel app. You can look up flights and book them right here in the app. That's really pretty cool. And then similar, there's a sports one. I can't find it, so what do? I'll just type sports. There it is. And the sports one is especially sophisticated. Here you specify which league you want to follow. This is all Formula One news. Each day, here is your complete box scores, results, driver standings for every sport. And it's all built right in there. Sports. So NFL. And in the same way, you can specify the league, not just the leagues, but the teams you want to follow. Here again are all the statistics you could ever want. I could imagine this would be really cool on a tablet. So here's where you specify your favorite teams. I grew up in Cleveland, so here's where I can look up my totally lame Cleveland teams year after year after year. So I can hit this and type in the Jets, something like that. And from now on, I'm following those too. Everything is very clickable, very easy to follow. Another amazing, totally unsung app in Tile World is the music app. It's a little confusing. You really need a book like Windows 8, The Missing Manual to help you find your way. But it's a cross between Windows Media Player in that it plays your music on your computer and Spotify. This app will actually play for free any song by any band or any singer you want for free, on demand. I don't know why people aren't making a bigger deal of this. But oh, stop telling me I've got viruses. If I scroll to the left, which I can't seem to do right now. Oops. Okay. If I scroll to the left, I'll find all my own music. So that's a little non-intuitive. You scroll to the left to see your own stuff. So I can just click one of these things, type in who I want to hear. How about Electric Light Orchestra? There we go. And then I'm going to see my app bar up here. It is immediately playing Yellow right there for free. I didn't have to do anything. I didn't have to pay anything. It also makes it very easy to buy music that you find, of course. And you can make playlists. You can shuffle and loop and so on. But the main thing is any artist you want to hear on demand. Really pretty cool. Here's Adele, like that. Let's see. Let me see if there's anything else. Oh, great. So if you have a tablet, you'll probably be spending a lot of time with the keyboard. So let's say I want to rename this icon here, and I don't have a keyboard. Well, here at the desktop is the touch keyboard. If you have a touch screen, the keyboard appears automatically whenever you begin to type, whenever you need to type. But if you don't have a touch screen, you'll have to open it up this way. In the lower right, you'll see you have a choice of keyboard styles, right? So this is the one you're probably used to, nice finger-sized keys. But if you hit this lower right button again, you'll see you also have a split thumb keyboard. This is great for tablets so that your right and left hand can hug opposite sides of the screen. There's also a, there we go. There's also handwriting recognition. So here I will prove it to you. I will write Webcast with my mouse. So this works much better with a finger, but what you're actually seeing is handwriting recognition. It works really pretty well. You'd never guess it, but I can insert that, and I've just renamed that document. There's also voice recognition, which works very well. And then this is the complete keyboard with all the symbols, the complete 101 character keyboard. So you have a bunch of different keyboards that you can choose from right from here. The speech recognition is the same as it was in Windows 7, but it's really pretty good. You should get to know it. It takes dictation. It opens apps for you. Here, I'll demonstrate. Open WordPad. How do you like that? I just open WordPad with my voice. So I hope all of you are enjoying this webcast. Oh, wow. So the main, Tile World apps are in general simpler. You know, they're generally more like, iPad apps. They're full screen, very few options, very simple. But in terms of the Kindle app limiting you to 8 books, I'm astonished to hear that. I can't imagine why they would do that. But that wouldn't be a limit of Tile World so much as a limitation that Amazon put in there, perhaps at Microsoft's urging to keep things very simple.
Thank you very much. Another question here from Art. Oh, lots of questions about the tiles. I'm sure that you are not surprised by that, David. If one has no interest in Tile World, what's the short list of making it go away as much as possible?
Okay, that's a really good question. So the first thing to do is, we should really talk about the classic shell. So these where is? No. Hold on. So the best thing to do is get a program like Classic Shell. It's free. I don't know why it's not showing up here. But it's one thing I didn't mention, by the way. If you open the app bar for Tile World, you'll see this button here for all apps. That shows you the complete list of apps, as opposed to the start screen that shows you only, the ones you use most often. So let's see. Let me open. Here we go. You see this down here? That's Classic Shell. That's the start menu put back. And in the settings for this program, you will find the option to never see the start screen. So you'll boot directly to the desktop. You'll have your start menu back, and you can almost completely ignore Tile World. Now, there are some exceptions. For example, you're still going to have to use the charms bar for things like settings, multiple screens, sharing, and searching. That's always the way you're going to do that. And there are a few other instances where you'll be forced to go back to the start screen. But in general, you can live without it if you install something like Classic Shell.
Thank you very much. Question here from Rampali. How much time does it take to boot in comparison to Windows 7 in reality? Is it the same for native UI or the modern UI?
It's faster. So Windows 8 boots faster. It's really pretty nice. And especially on this new world of tablets and laptops that don't have physical hard drives, but instead have solid-state drives. You can boot up in just a couple of seconds. Of course, my advice is not to boot up at all, is to just sleep your machine all the time. There's really very little reason to shut down the machine fully anymore.
Ed would like to know, David, what do you think of Windows 8 support for a fine point tablet pen for handwriting, annotating, note-taking, precision drawing, and all sorts of digital ink and pen computing applications? Have you played with tablet pens, and what do you think?
Yes, good question. So Windows 8 is screaming out for a stylus. Microsoft Surface Pro tablet, for example, comes with a stylus, and it's great for using that OneNote note-taking program. Handwriting recognition works great. All kinds of drawing and painting apps that are pressure sensitive, so the harder you bear down on the pen, the thicker the line. Windows 8 is way ahead of other operating systems in that regard. So if you have, for example, a Windows 8 tablet with a pen, you'll be in heaven.
Super. Let's see. We'll take our final question from Annie, who says, all computers are going touchscreen in the future. How on earth can someone work with programs like Visual Studio Pro with a Windows 8 style interface?
That's a really good question. It's one of the questions I don't think Microsoft has fully answered. I've written a lot about this so-called dawn of touchscreen computers. Microsoft believes that all computers will have touchscreens. I'm not convinced. If you think about a touch screen, it makes perfect sense on something that is close to you and roughly horizontal, like when you use your phone or you use an iPad, right? There are three reasons touch screens work in that context in terms of your arm comfort. It's the angle you're holding it at, which is nearly parallel to the floor. There's the amount of time you spend touching that screen, which tends to be briefly. And there's the distance of the screen from you. It turns out that if you try to use a touchscreen desktop computer, where the computer is 2.5 feet from you and you have to spend a lot of time with your finger on the screen, you get what's known as gorilla arm. It's a tingling pain from keeping your arms outstretched from your body for long periods of time, doing very precise, fiddly work that the body was never meant to do. Many scientists feel that's why touchscreen computing never caught on to begin with. It's just really uncomfortable to keep your arms sticking straight out against the screen all day. So I, for one, am not convinced that all computers will one day have touchscreens. I think touchscreens make sense on tablets and phones, maybe on laptops, but on desktop computers, I think it's just too uncomfortable. But then there's our question asker's question, which is even more relevant. How are you supposed to do very fine control without a mouse? How are you supposed to do CAD or word processing even? How do you select text in a 9-point paragraph with your finger on a touch screen? You can't. You can't. So there's no way the finger is going to completely replace the mouse. You heard it here first. The mouse or trackpad or some equivalent will always be with us because your finger simply is not precise enough. So I have my doubts that Microsoft is correct, that touch screens will be everywhere. If touch screens do become everywhere, it will always be an option and not mandatory.
Perfect. And with that, folks, we are going to say a very big thank you to David. He's sick today, but he still joined us and gave us an outstanding presentation, really hands-on live demo. Well, thank you so much, David, for sharing all your knowledge and expertise with us.
Thanks. Thank you all for joining us.
Folks that attended, thank you for joining us today, and we hope you've benefited from the webcast. And judging by lots of good chatter in the group chat, you did enjoy it very much, so we thank you for attending. We'd also like to let you know we did push out a code to you all today. David's book, Windows 8, The Missing Manual, it is the O'Reilly Deal of the Day, and what that means for you is you can get it today at an outstanding price. please open that group chat. Take advantage of that discount. If you like what you saw today, the book has a lot more in it, so it can really help you with your day-to-day. And we did not have time to get to all your questions, but those answers are in the book. So we encourage you to take a look at that. Also visit O'Reilly.com. Look on the right-hand side. The book is right there. You can't miss it. Again, thank you, David. Thank you, everyone. This will conclude our webcast. Goodbye, everybody.